Okay. Good morning,
Good morning.
everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
We
Yeah.
are live for Coffee Confessions, and you'll see we have another box with us today, which is so exciting. It looks
Another
like
person in that box.
now.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here with you guys this morning.
We have Jessica Seagal with us. She is a local mama
Yes.
and an attorney at law. And we're going to give her a minute just to kind of talk about who she is, introduce herself, and then we have some confessions she's going to help us with today.
All right. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a local mom. I have 2 teenagers, which is hard to believe. And I've been in practice as an attorney for 20 years here in Dutchess, and most of that time was as a prosecutor. So part of our conversation this morning will be about that. 17 years here in Dutchess as a prosecutor, mostly in DWI and vehicular crimes. And my other focus was really animal cruelty. So, an odd combination of forensic toxicology and crash reconstruction and animal abuse. But about 3 years ago, I went into private practice. I have an office in Poughkeepsie. And I really pulled from that experience as a prosecutor to help my clients in a different way. I think because I'm a mom and we have mom friends, I tended to gravitate towards helping other moms and women in business, and helping, families with their kids when they get into trouble and different things like that. So we could talk about that. But basically, my entire career has been in criminal law here in Dutchess County. And I was very excited a few months ago to announce I'm running for county court judge. So it's pretty exciting, and I've had to adapt to being on the campaign trail during obviously this pandemic. So lots of interesting stuff to talk about this morning.
Yes, so much. And I just want to mention that I really don't remember how our paths first crossed, because I feel like we've always just kind of known of you and in the community, but then last March 2019, you were one of our inaugural speakers at Mom U. And essentially what you spoke about was helping legal proof your family, right?
Yes. Absolutely. It was, yes, we had a lot of, I think, friends in common, like the 6 degrees of separation in Dutchess County. And then I was so excited to be a part of Mom U. I mean, my thing is that, every family deserves a good lawyer. It shouldn't just be for the wealthy. And, having like that family lawyer that you could just call up and ask a question really is helpful. And so I started doing the legal toolkit for families. And so it was like just really basic things that every family should have access to. And how can I help teach all my mom friends how to liability proof, how to lawsuit proof your family? Right? Because I was dealing with the graduation parties and the fatal car crashes and sexting and drug possession and, all these things that were just everyday family issues, believe it or not. And
for those teenagers.
And so, it really became, to me, the sort of like, let's talk about it. Like, there's no shame involved in it. And you don't want to have to figure out who to call at 3 a.m. if your kid, gets arrested. It's more like, let's talk about it as moms. There's things to talk about that, I like to talk about the uncomfortable stuff because I find that it makes people more comfortable. No mom wants to talk about of young kids having a will, but at the end of the day, it's that peace of mind. So, let's just talk about it, get it done, and you're protected. I found like the more I started talking about those uncomfortable things, the more my mom friends were, becoming comfortable with it. It's like anything else. The more you talk about it, the more comfortable you get.
Yeah. I love that.
Absolutely.
It's so true.
Yes.
I 1,000 years ago. I should probably look at it because I don't remember like what we even put in it at this point. But I remember like, it was like, you want to put your blinders on to those kinds of things because you don't want to think about, that situation of needing a will or, needing power of attorney or what if my child, is like you mentioned that, because I think Alicia and I were both thinking, how much crime could there be right now in a pandemic? Like people are not out of their houses, but there are certain crimes that are still kind of.
Yeah. So I'm actually, I'm a part-time prosecutor down in Putnam, in addition to my private practice up here. And so, I mean, there's been a huge drop in a lot of crime, with people not being out as much or, being home, but DWI is still out there. I mean, because people are stuck at home. There's a lot more drinking going on. A lot more day drinking going on.
Liquor stores are essential.
Right. And then the next thing you know, you have to run out and get something. And so we're seeing a lot of that. And then, of course, you're stuck at home. All these teenagers have nothing to do. And they are sharing naked pictures of each other.
Yes.
And what most kids don't realize is if your girlfriend is 14 or 15, that's a felony. To share a naked image of a child, and then most parents have no clue, would never think my kid would do that.
No,
but it's not just checking their cell phones for predators, which is what all parents are concerned about, right? But it's sometimes what they're doing with their own friends.
Yes, that's really scary.
Yeah. So definitely, like that is truly like our confession for today. One, my parents really needed you about 25 years ago. Really needed you. And I always think to myself, okay, that's, I love my brother dearly, but goodness, it would have been nice to have you just to call up, say, hey, how about this?
Yeah.
And that is certainly I love that you advocate for that. And then I guess that our other confession is that we just don't always know what's going on, and that really what are the crimes? What are teenagers doing? I mean, I teach middle school. I kind of have an inkling, but it's a lot of times we're kind of like head in the sand, don't want to think that it's our kids that are going to be, oh my goodness, they wouldn't be involved in that. But
especially now, that's all on screens all the time. Like, my 13-year-old is on her phone. And she's FaceTiming with her best friend. It's very whatever. I'm going to say,
you think,
kid, but who knows? Who knows what your kid is really? And everyone's in their, even though we're all together, we're all in our own little worlds in the house almost.
Yes.
You're here all the time. Like it is. I could definitely see that people might be, or kids might be, bored, and God knows, like, personally, I can't even get in that headspace that you would send a naked picture to somebody at 13 years old, but it's a different world than.
Oh, yeah. It is. And it really is. And I'm definitely here to say things go on in every single town in Dutchess. I mean, that was part of my thing. I mean, I went into all the local high schools with Kate. We did a teen driving program, and it was to talk about the dangers of impaired driving. Realistically, if you kill somebody at 16 or 17, you're still going to prison, so we would talk about things like that. And I was there to say, for those of you that think it's not going to happen in your neighborhood or in your circles, I'm here to tell you it is, because almost every single one of those kids that I prosecuted came from good homes and good families and parents who talked to them. And so it's one of those things where, my mom used to say when I started driving, I'm not worried about you, I'm worried about everybody else on the road.
That's so true.
Right. So it's the same thing. Like, as long as you're talking to your kids about these things, that they exist, and to be cautious and careful, and what are the ramifications? Like, when I used to tell these, because we would talk to 11th graders, when I used to tell them that sending a naked picture of yourself is a felony, you would see they immediately would be like looking around the room in panic, because that's what they're doing now. And and so it's not even so much that your kid would send the picture, it's that they will receive it, which is possessing it or sharing it. If they send it to a friend,
That's
so
scary.
it is really scary because also
at their fingertips. Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes when they're really young, like 13 or 14, they're not really thinking of the consequences of showing it. What they think is one friend or their best friend who's, and then their parents look at it and they're like, your son just sent me this picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pictures, videos. I mean, this has happened in, I teach in the middle school, and then it actually becomes a school's problem as well. So
absolutely.
the dignity episode. So it's out there.
We have
what though? Like in all honesty though, us even just talking about it is good because it just brings awareness to it, especially if you don't have a lot of mom friends with kids the same age group. I can say, like, at first I was like one of the first friends of mine to have a baby, so I was kind of on my own there for a while. And you need mom friends to kind of show you what's going on in the world. So
it's very true. It's so true.
Not everybody has that,
No.
That's
so you're doing a public service.
Yes.
So we have another confession. You mentioned that you work as a prosecutor, you're in private practice, but you're also running for Dutchess County family court judge. I keep saying it wrong.
County court judge, right? County court is criminal matters.
Okay.
Alicia and I always vote. She's a social studies teacher. I'm a social studies teacher. We vote every election, and we always know who's running for like president, assembly, all those big offices. And then you get down to the bottom of the ballot and there's the judges, and I'll just kind of vote for the name I've seen the most, or, I never put much thought. Alicia maybe puts a little bit more thought into it.
No, I actually don't.
I never thought, how does a judge going to affect me? Like, it doesn't matter who's elected to that position, but it does matter.
It turns out that it's really important.
Yep.
As to who we elect. So
why should mom care?
Why should we care?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's honestly such a great question, because the average family or our average mom friends, nobody pays attention to that. And so if you're not in that criminal court world, or if you're not an attorney in the legal community, most people have no clue what a county court judge does. They don't, they have enough on their plate. Why should they care? And so that's what I'm up against, just getting people to understand why it's important. And so I'm asking moms to care, because county court judges do really impact the quality of life in your community. And at some point, one of your mom friends is going to get involved statistically in that system, whether through domestic violence or sex crimes or a DWI, or one of their kids gets in trouble with something. And when it's somebody you suddenly start to really pay attention to who that judge is, and are they going to have compassion for your loved one? If it's a crime victim, are they going to be heard? Are they going to be taken seriously? Are they going to get respect in the courtroom? And if it's someone charged with a crime that you know or love, are they going to get a fair shake? Is the judge going to read the court papers? Do they have a good attorney? All those things really do come into play. A county court judge decides, does somebody get drug treatment, or does a veteran get drug treatment versus just go to prison? Is the judge going to care what kind of person they are, or what they have going on in their life, or not? Another really, people really care about, sex offenders in their community. They decide how much supervision is a sex offender going to get in the community? What kind of level of supervision? I mean, that is a significant impact in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they decide important issues such as whether bail gets set, and also guns. I mean, it's very polarizing to talk about guns in any conversation. I tend to avoid that at parties, but they decide if you get a pistol permit, if your pistol permit is suspended or revoked. And now with all the change in how it's flagged, if you get mental health counseling or treatment, your pistol permit gets flagged for review. So, there are are professional people who, you know, have something come up or pop up in their life, and, you know, they end up in court. So it's, you know, I'll be honest, as a defense attorney, most of my clients are referrals from law enforcement friends or mom friends. And, you know, they tend to be regular, you know, people and professional people with licenses and things like that. I mean, I represent a lot of teachers. I represent a lot of doctors and lawyers and law enforcement and things like that, where their job is on the line. You know, so you want a judge who has one, real life experience and some compassion, and, you know, is really patient and will really follow through on, you know, researching what the law is or what the issue is, and not just trying to push things through, you know, court system.
Yep.
Right. People are wondering, Jessica, how you are campaigning now with this coronavirus. I know you've had to pivot a little bit.
It is brutal. It is brutal. Okay, so I'm a first-time candidate. I'll say this too. I'm not the kind of person who will just sit on the sidelines and complain. And so, you know, having lived this county court life for so long, I knew we needed change. And it's, you know, to take on an incumbent is a big deal. I also will say this, in county court history, look, I have the qualifications. I'm not here to say, you know, it's because I'm a woman, but in over 200 years of Dutchess County Court, there's been one woman judge. So it's typically a male dominated courtroom. And so I'm also, you know, one of the few women that are trial attorneys in county court. There's not that many of them. And so when I decided to run, I knew I wasn't just up against a campaign. I was up sort of against all these issues that come up as a first-time candidate and as a woman. And now I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can knock on doors. I'm going to rely on grassroots. We're going to be out at all the community events. I'm going to be at senior picnics, and I'm going to be at soccer fields. And that came to a crashing halt. And so the incumbent has that name recognition and I don't. So I've had to rely on things like this. Every week I'm doing Zoom calls. And I'm asking my friends in the community to host a Zoom like call with your friends, 5 friends. Let's get together and just chat and get my name recognition out there. Social media, I've had to rely on, and asking, you know, people to share or like my Facebook page, the campaign page. And I'm doing a lot more phone calls, which I never expected to do, because we know those are annoying. When, you know, I mean, like, that's the reality. You've got a mom, right?
What are you going to do?
Right? Most people don't even answer their phone, or you've got 5 things going. Now you're homeschooling your kid. You're trying to work. You're trying to make dinner. You're playing referee to your teenagers. Oh, and now some candidate is calling you on the phone. So
maybe you call and offer like math homework help.
Right. So
anybody
I have to do it, you know. And
well, that's awesome.
You know, the other thing too is a county court judge, unlike other candidates that you see on TV or on, you know, in the mail or things like that, is supposed to be apolitical. It's not supposed to be about the right or the left. It's about doing the right thing. And so I'm trying to reach, you know, 60,000 voters in Dutchess County. I don't care what party you are. I want you to know who I am and what my experience is. So my field is also enormous. I'm not just running in the town of Fishkill. I'm running all over Dutchess County. So I'm really relying, honestly, on friends and groups like this to kind of just get my name out there. But I'm definitely making phone calls. And I have to say, you know, some people you just leave a message and it's just, hey, this is my name. And it's like you said, oh, I've seen that name before. And, you know, we'll, of course, eventually have lawn signs that, you know, pepper the roadway or whatever. But I have a primary next month for the Independence line. So, you know, I'm still in it. I have to just keep going. And, you know, how do you fundraise? You know, the reality is the mail the lawn signs, all the social media ads, it costs money. How are you, people can barely put food on the table. They've lost their jobs. And how does a candidate say, hey, if you can spare $20, I really could use it. And judicial candidates, the rules, I can't ask for donations myself. It's even more difficult. So you have to ask your friends and family to, post on their social media. But I'm pretty scrappy and resilient, and it actually motivates me even more because I care so much about what it means to have this role for, for everyone, of course. But the reality is, a lot of women don't have a voice in court. So it really motivates me to just fight even harder to get there.
That's awesome.
Right. And that's really what motivated you to do this is the idea that there's only been one woman judge. You really feel like it's time that we have representation for women. And that's really what motivated you. It doesn't really sound like you need another job. You sound very busy. But that's like what's motivating you. That's the driving force. Like, this is just like almost out of the goodness of your heart, I feel like, because you see what's been going on in the courts in Dutchess County, and you really think it's time for change. So it doesn't really matter which party you're affiliated with.
Right.
It seems as though this is just like a passion of yours, and that's kind of what we really love about you, is that you're doing this for women and moms, and that's what we're all about. So
and if moms want, and I'm putting you on the spot here, like you said, you're doing a lot of Zoom calls, you're reaching out. If somebody wanted to chat with you and have like a little coffee, happy hour, whatever you want to call it, with you on a Zoom call and learn more about what you're doing, could they?
Absolutely. Yes, I would love it. In fact, I'm encouraging it. And the more, listen, I'll even do it one-on-one, because the reality is, even just talking to, so that comment, I'll just say this because it flashed it.
Yes,
those are actually Supreme Court or family court. So, hi, Carla. We know each other from the court circuit.
I figured.
So
that's what I
thought. In county court, there's only 2 male judges, and there's only 2 for all of Dutchess County. They hear all felonies. So if you want to meet a Zoom with me, I would love it. You can email me, and you can put the link up, but it's info@jessicaforcountycourtjudge.com. And if you want to send me an email, I've been meeting with people one-on-one for 10 or 15 minutes, or we get a group of, 5 or 10 girlfriends together and, for 20, 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time, because I know everybody's got a lot going on. And it's been great. It's been really fun to get out there and, it's also because there's social isolation. So it's also an opportunity, to kind of see your friends and your family members, and you're going on anyway. I'm more than happy to pop in for a few minutes.
Awesome. Like a special guest star.
Yeah.
Now, the email was jessicaforcountycourtjudge.com. Info at
Jessicaforcountycourtjudge.com.
Okay. I'm going to put that right in.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to share all your
links so fun.
And everything so people can, learn more. I'm going to put them in the comments right now. You guys
I would say this, if you can even just like the Facebook page, Jessica Seagal for County Court Judge, because then their circles see it. So it's really helpful to just get that organic grassroots reach.
It is. And just tell your mom friends, tell your dad, I don't say just tell women, tell everybody, but especially just that idea that it's a new voice for families in the court system. So thank you, Jessica.
Thank you for having me on. It was great to see you guys. Have a good day.
It's good to see you.
We'll see all you guys on Thursday.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.